Well, farmers in the Hawkesbury and Nepean areas could be facing hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses as heavy rainfall prevents the planting of crops. That's bringing now from the New South Wales Farmers Association, the President, James Jackson. James, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much. So much farmland we've been seeing today. It's just underwater, obviously just heartbreaking scenes for farmers.
Yes, absolutely, Ash. And this is, for some people, it's the third time in 5 months and the fourth time in 12 months that they've gone under in that Hawkesbury and Nepean valleys. So really feeling for our colleagues, certainly in those valleys, and there will be impacts on production out of those areas going forward for sure.
What sort of crops are we talking about in those impacted areas you mentioned?
Well, it's interesting. The Sydney Basin is a huge agricultural area. There's about $1 billion worth of produce come out of the Sydney Basin, and it's a wide range of products, including turf, flowers, but there's also quite a lot of horticulture, a lot of vegetable crops, leafy vegetable crops and whatnot. It's not a huge source of those leafy vegetables this time of the year. They will often come in from Queensland, but it will certainly have an impact. And there's been a number of farms that have been inundated and their crops have been wiped out. It'll take some time for those to be replanted. Yeah.
So we could be dealing with the consequences of that at the grocery shop for some time to come?
Oh, absolutely. Certainly the production or the supply issues certainly will be felt going forward. But also this East Coast low actually affects production right up into Queensland. So the cold weather will delay the maturation of some of those crops. A lot of our vegetable crops come from Queensland, but the cold overcast weather actually decreases, or increases the time to maturity, if you like, of those winter-sourced leafy vegetables. So there is a number of factors feeding into food inflation at the moment. We've got these weather events. We've got labour shortages. Some people are choosing not to actually plant crops because they're not confident in having the labour to harvest them. So those decisions, if you like, on workforce issues certainly feed through into food inflation going forward. We've got the floods. We've got the Vladimir Putin factor, which is the increased cost in natural gas prices and fertiliser prices, which are embedded into the cost base, if you like, of our fruit and vegetable producers going forward. So we see a lot of inflationary pressures, if you like, on food prices going forward. And you were just talking about interest rates. That is another cost pressure going into agriculture as well. So there's a number of things that are building to create increases in cost pressures with grocery prices. And we would anticipate that, even though coming into the spring, agronomic conditions actually improve, more hot, wet weather, we see a lot of these embedded increases in costs will actually feed into food inflation going forward. So be aware of that. We've also got the problem that we've got a failed competition environment in Australia at the moment. Our two major supermarkets hold 70% of the market share, so they will not miss this opportunity to actually gouge the prices, so to increase their margins, if you like. So that all together, that is going to feed through into food inflation. The government can do something about competition issues, merger and acquisition and the competition laws. They can do something about labour. There are some factors they can't do anything about, the weather and Vladimir Putin, probably. But yes, food inflation, I think, is here to stay.
James Jackson, really appreciate your insights. Thank you. And look, our hearts do go out to all those farmers really struggling with these floods at the moment. Thank you.
Absolutely.